Hey guys, what's up? Looking at one here. Going to be showing you guys some of the setup game options that I've been looking at and some strategies as far as how you're going to want to approach each of these buffs and debuffs. But anyways, I'm going to go ahead and start up a game on, we'll go difficulty Mercury, standard game pace, standard map size. Accept. Okay, if you can see all these right here, these are all buffs and debuffs to the civilizations that you can become. Like each have some things that help them, some things that hurt them. So obviously some of these are fairly obvious, like units have 10% strength in melee combat. I mean, that's kind of obvious. I mean, they're just going to be stronger up in hand-to-hand combat. That's a pretty obvious strategy there. But some of them not so obvious. Like the cities and outposts acquire new tiles twice as fast. This is definitely going to be a little more complex in melee combat. But anyways, I'm going to go through them one by one. As you can see, ARC, covert operations are 25% faster and cause 25% more intrigue. That is something I just have no idea. I have not seen that yet in the game. Please let me know what that is if you know what it is. And I'll be sure to leave a comment about it or an updated video, because remember, I am new to this game and just having to get stumped on the first one. The next one, 10% production speed pros wander and 25% faster worker speed. This is very helpful for getting a production-based economy. Obviously, if you're going to go build for more, the 25% worker speed is definitely going to help you like build up your cities that are already existing. You'll probably have two or three fairly large cities that are that have wonders in them and have all the buildings and are just able to crank out units. But you're not going to be very expansive in that with that kind of civilization. Or if you are, you're not going to be quite as successful as someone who, say, Africa. Franco-Iberia. Gain a free technology for every 10 virtues developed. Virtues are the culture-based thing here, so this is going to be a lot more of a culture and technology-based civilization. So if you're not going to be as much of a warmonger, and you're not going to be as much of a expansionist. If you're going to be Franco-Iberia, or if you are, once again, you won't be quite as successful. Orbital units stay in the air 20% longer, and the first one launched grants a free technology. Obviously, the free technology could really help as far as getting a quick start on your opponents, but it's really not that beneficial over time. So it may be a very early game based civ. Orbital units stay in the air 20% longer. That could be quite helpful, whether it's the miasmic repulsors or other units. I mean, just being able to be in the air longer, being able to see the region longer, scout longer, and probably late game fire missiles longer. I mean, that's going to be quite helpful. And you see Polystralia. Sounds kind of like Australia. I don't know. +2 trade routes available in the capital city. Yes, that is very, very helpful. If you're able to get a bunch of trade routes with every civ in the game, trade routes can be very helpful as far as, especially when it comes to maintaining relations. Because if people have a lot of trade routes with you, they're less likely to attack you because they'll lose all the buffs they're getting from those trade routes. So it'll be a lot easier to be a peaceful civilization with these kind of buffs. The +2 trade routes are most likely to get you a lot more energy and a lot more technology if you're trading with other civilizations. But if you want to trade with your own civilization, here's another buff you could do. You could make it very expansionist. You could focus city growth. You could trade between your own cities to focus city growth and production. So you could go for more of an agriculture production-based economy with that. Then you see the Cavithan Protectorate. That's what it is. Cavithan Protectorate. Cities and outposts acquire new tiles twice as fast. That's a fairly obvious one as well. When you have a city, it's going to expand very quickly, disallowing other civilizations from being able to claim the land. You may not be able to work all of the land immediately surrounding your base. Like within 2 or 3 tiles, you can place tile improvements in. You can utilize them with the workers within the city. I don't know if there's a technology that allows you to go further than that, but in the old games there has not been. You cannot get tiles way out away from the city. So you're going to want to, this is very good for expanding, keeping your cities kind of close to keep them condensed to where people can't plop down a city right in between 2 cities of yours. It's good for building a fairly large empire, but it's also good for just focusing just a few big cities, depending on what you want to do. But it's going to be very helpful, definitely, as far as countering other civilizations. And you can see these guys have 10% strength in melee combat. That seems like a fairly newbie buff. It's not something I would necessarily want to choose, just due to the fact that that's like, I mean, that buff is the same thing they give Marines when you like 5 turns in the game. It's not that big great of a buff. It will be 10% added on top of that, but I just wouldn't suggest it unless you're just really new to the game and really need that buff to help keep yourself alive. Then I just wouldn't suggest it. And the African Union, this is one of my favorite things is to focus city growth. So the African Union is definitely going to be one of my favorite civilizations in this game. Same as Pan-Asian. I think I'm going to like them as well. I don't really know about this one yet though. 10% food growth in cities when healthy. This is very helpful for expanding an empire very quickly. In my current video I'm doing, I'm very unhealthy and I'm not able to expand very quickly, so it's not a great example. But if you can keep your citizens healthy, you need to focus health technologies to keep your civilians healthy so you can get that 10% food growth in cities. This is going to help you expand a lot quicker, be able to crank out more production, more technology, more culture, more everything. The bigger your city, the more you can do. That's basically what it is, and you can get multiple cities and just have an empire. That's what I enjoy doing the most, because I haven't, in the old games, there was no way to counter someone who just had massive cities, massive amount of armies, massive everything. You just couldn't do it. So basically, the more food you get, the more production you'll have, and the more production you have, the more units you'll have. Great for being a military, for having a military. Great for a lot of ways. You're probably not going to win your technology or culture, but you could use this to focus technology and culture. You could set a couple cities to focus it, and you could do really well. Who knows? So I'm just going to click this just for the sake of moving on to the next part, assuming it loads up. There we go. Okay, this next buff is for colonists, as you know. +2 science in every city, +2 food in every city, +3 energy and 1 health in every city, +2 production, and +2 culture and +1 health in every city. Okay, so for scientists, +2 science in every city. That'll be good for early game, for when you want to rush some technologies and stuff. +2 science late game is not going to be that substantial, but it's really going to, I think these are basically all pretty early game buffs. Actually, they do have long-term effects. They're in every city, my bad. But if you have a lot of cities, these will probably help you a lot more. Whereas if you're gonna, you're probably gonna want to pair these really well with what kind of buff you choose here. So if I chose African Union here and 10% growth, if I want to boost my growth even more, I could go food. But if I wanted to get a lot of production too right off the bat, so I could get a lot of food and a lot of production, I'd go that in engineers. It just really depends on what you want to do. It's fairly obvious. Science is gonna help boost science. Food's gonna help boost that. Blah blah blah. But I would not suggest going for straight energy and health, because at the moment I see the energy is basically the currency. It's basically like gold in the old game, which I do like. That's interesting to put energy as a new currency. But I don't think that's such a valuable thing. The health in every city, that is a good boost, I'll be honest. And the culture, and I would think that this is probably this, and yeah, just these three are probably the strongest. Science could really help if you like science victories, which some of you might, especially when you're trying to explore the technology trees. So this one's really up to you. It really depends on what kind of strategy you're going for. Okay, then this next thing, choose a spacecraft. This one's going to be really helpful as far as, obviously, depending on what kind of things you're going for. I usually would go for, what's it called? No technology being needed to see these things. This way you can settle your cities early game and secure these resources. That's one of the most important things I could think of, securing the resources available. As long as you can secure them, you won't have to fight people later on in the game. You don't have to fight anyone to be able to try to secure it. Basically, just secure those resources. But there are buffs to the other thing. So this is a great for if you don't want to build too many cities and you want to be able to focus those resources and make sure you get a hold of them. Or even if you do want to build a lot of cities, it's great to be able to focus resources. Revealing coasts on a map. Okay, that'll be helpful as far as navigating the map. But if it's a smallish map, not really that helpful. Wider area for choosing where to land first city, and additional visibility around starting area. That'll be good for founding your first city. It'll really help you out as founding your capital, as far as being able to see where everything is and what kind of stuff if you're gonna land in a field, so you can get a lot of grass, so you can get a lot of food production. That'll be really helpful. But if you're going for something that's just basically just so you know where to found your city, make sure you, when you're founding your city, your capital city, you can get it near food and production. That's the two most important things in my opinion. Anyways, let's see. Begin with 100 energy at standard speed. I really would suggest against that. I guess that's if you want to buy some things real quick and rush things. Lifeform sensor reveal alien nests on the map. I guess that could be helpful in a Harmony victory. I'm really not sure. That's not something I'd really be that interested in either. I think this is a very strong buff right now. Maybe a little overpowered. So I would definitely suggest going this one early game, especially when you're new to the game. Alright, you're choosing your cargo. Begin with an extra population in your first city. Laboratory, which is begin with pioneering technology. Being able to begin with a clinic in your first city. Begin with soldier unit and begin with a worker unit. This is also really going to depend on your play style. The hydroponics, begin with an extra population in your first city. That's going to help your city expand a little bit quicker. It's going to help you get off to a little bit of a quicker start, a little bit more. You can focus food and production rather than just focusing food right off the bat. So it'll give you probably a 5 or 6 head start as far as your turns go, as far as starting production. As far as other things go, I don't really know how helpful that's going to be. Laboratory, begin with the pioneering technology. The pioneering technology allows you to build colonists. That allows you to leave the city and actually form new cities. Well, outposts that will eventually change into cities. So that'll be helpful if you want to build a couple cities real quick, or especially in turn. I mean, if you use that with tectonic scanner, it's going to be really helpful because you're going to be able to find those technologies. I mean, those resources, and quickly jump on them to make sure no one else can get them. So that would be helpful in a multiplayer game, I would definitely think. Raw materials, starting with the clinic. Don't know about that one. Clinic gives you a little bit of health and stuff, but that's a fairly easy building to build, and I would not suggest that one right now. I can't really see too many benefits to it. Begin with a soldier unit. That'll be good if someone decides to bum rush you right off the bat, or defend yourself from aliens, or to even start exploring the map. Or machinery. Begin with a worker unit. That's the one I went with. Probably one I would go with just about every time, because that way you can start developing your tiles near your city, and you can actually start. You can increase your city growth as well as your production. And even if you get lucky, you can get some special resources right off the bat, and that can really help you out. Definitely not a luck game. It's a very safe choice to choose. Begin with a worker unit and just start working on those tiles. But if you're going to do that, make sure you build something to protect it, because those aliens, they will harass you. Those aliens are a pain in the butt. You don't want to get a worker killed right off the bat. Quite depressing. Okay, and as far as planets go, that's something that's really up to you. Like, you can just keep cooking and new planets. They change the names. It doesn't really change anything about them. I guess it probably does change their layout, but I don't know if you get the same layout more than once. But anyways, you can see a world with few large landmasses separated by an ocean and some smaller islands. A world of one ocean and one very large continuous landmass with the possibility of small coastal islands. A world of islands of varying sizes separated by narrow water passageways. I guess that'll be good for making sure you can start before anyone jumps on you and starts attacking you in a multiplayer battle. That would be good for, it's kind of like a big battle on land. You don't have to really focus ocean at all, whereas on this one you do have to focus ocean a lot. And on this one it's just kind of a mix of both. You have to have a lot of land battles, you also have a lot of water battles, which is a little more realistic if you ask me. But there's also, if you bought the game early, you get all these map packs. I'm not going to go over each one of these because it would take quite a while, but you guys can read the description on those, and it's fairly simple. As far as the advanced setup goes, I mean, each of these are the victory types. That's fairly obvious. You can check it to where don't stagger starts, to where everyone starts immediately, which is, I mean, I would suggest doing that because that makes it fair to everybody. Especially, I think in multiplayer you're all going to start at the same time. I'm not positive. Frenzied aliens. Okay, yeah, that'd be even harder aliens. I would not suggest that for a beginner. Each time the game's loaded, the random numbers. Okay, not really sure. I guess that means things will play differently as far as the AI and the units. Not really sure too much about. I've never really understood that one that much. If someone could explain that to me in the comments, that'd be really helpful. But anyways, these are all very obvious things. I mean, you can just choose your different thing here. It shows you those buffs again. But that's pretty much it. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching this video. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe for more. I was not choosing these as a strategy. I just kind of chose through just so you guys could get a feel of what it looks like. But this is not my usual choice of buffs and debuffs and such. But anyways, once again, thanks for watching, guys. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more. And let me know what you guys would like to see, what kind of tutorials. And I'll see you guys next time.